This is the Domain Magnet Show, where you'll learn everything you need to know about buying, optimizing, and selling online businesses with your host, Michael Beroslavsky.
Welcome to this episode. Today we have Mark Mars from Niche Website Builders. And in this episode, we are going to talk about case studies from reviewing 5,000 websites. What do you need to get to $300 per month, $1,000 per month, and so on. Also, how to build profitable websites using expired domains, aged domains, and what is the most important factor in SEO these days. And we also discuss many other different topics around content, building sites at scale, and buying new sites. Hi, Mark. How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a couple of years since we last spoke. Yeah, I remember back then your company was growing pretty quickly, and you were kind of building a bunch of different sites and building a bunch of different projects. So give me a quick update. Where are you at now? And also like a quick kind of story of how you got started.
Yeah, so my name's Mark Mars from Niche Website Builders. So we help individuals and investors build and grow content sites really at the highest level and help them make money from that. So we have people that are, have a full-time job and they have a blog on the side. It's kind of a side hustle for them. So we help them kind of with their businesses, right up to people who are maybe investors that have no interest in building their own sites, but they have money to invest as an alternative investment, and we'll help them build out a portfolio of sites and help them kind of make money and ultimately sell their business kind of further down the road. We're about, well, we started December 2019, 4 months before the pandemic. And so we're getting on for 3.5 years old now. We've grown the business over that time. We're about 130 people currently. Been on quite a journey like during that time. I think after the first year, we were at kind of like 60 or so. And we've kind of gone up and down like a little bit through there as we've kind of improved our services, changed our services, optimized our operations and processes, because when you grow that fast, kind of there's a lot of things that kind of need to be ironed out along the way, and obviously constant recruiting as well. Yeah, that's kind of at the highest level. That's kind of what we do and where we're at.
Very cool. And where is the team based, and are these all full-time employees?
They are all full-time employees. They are about 110 or so of them are all based in the UK. And then around 20-ish of those are Filipino-based employees that help us with things like, part of the service, we create content for customers, and it's a full end-to-end. So we'll upload content to the site at the end once it's all written, and we have kind of Filipino workers that kind of upload and format content for us and do that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the team.
Very cool. So how does it work from the client's perspective? Let's say you have someone come into you and say, hey, I have this much money, I want to build a website, or I want to invest in building a website. Like what would be the cost? What would be the process?
Yeah, so we have a number of different options depending on kind of where you're at on your journey. So at the lower end of the scale, if you just want to buy content on a regular basis, we have content subscriptions that start at 10,000 words a month. Actually, we have a 5,000 word a month one, but the cost per word is a bit more expensive. So we just put our prices up a little, actually. So it's 7.5 cents a word. Generally, it's a little bit more. I think it's more like 8.5 cents a word for that 5,000 word package. But in that, you get keyword research. You'll get the writing, the editing, the uploading, inserted images. We'll add schema if the page requires schema on it. We recommend it should have some schema. We'll embed Pinterest posts if it's needed, and include images as well. So it's full kind of 7.5 cents a word, but really it's more than just the writing part. It's the full end-to-end, and pretty much we'll upload it to the site, ready for our customer to click publish whenever they're ready. A few customers of ours trust us, having worked with them for a number of years, and we just press publish for them as well along the way. But Yeah, so that's kind of at the lower end, I guess, and then at the upper end we have what we call our kind of growth plans. We work a lot with H domains. So our growth, well, I guess we have a couple of different options. So we have like what we call our H domain packages, which is where you buy an H domain, a chunk of content, and a site build all in one package. So we'll build the site. We will do all the keyword research. If you need help with like niche selection or selecting an H domain, we can help with that. We have H domains on our site, like an inventory of them, of ones that we picked up at auction, ready to go. And then we'll create a site. Maybe you want 100,000 or 200,000 words to start, and we'll kind of get you kicked off. And we also have kind of growth plans where we will, you can either bring a site to us from the beginning, or we can do exactly what I just described then with that H domain packages, where we can start from scratch. We can then essentially what kind of working towards a target of like how much do you want to kind of earn on a monthly basis, how much do you want the asset to be worth kind of long term, how much have you got to invest, and we will then essentially we'll do 50% of the work up front, so we'll charge 50% of all the costs up front, and then the rest of the work will be done over a 12-month period. So it might be that we're going to do 200, 300, 400,000 words. We'll do 200,000 words up front and then spread the rest over the 12 months and spread it out like that. So yeah, that's kind of that's how the service works.
That's interesting. So let's say I'm a beginner who wants to build the first website.
Yeah.
And I want to get to $100 per month in revenue. What would that cost? How long would that take with an H domain?
Yeah, so with an H domain, so what I can give you is we've got some bandings here. So what I would say is that very good to know is that historically, like somebody would ask us, like, how do we get to $1,000 a month or $100 a month? And the answer would always be, well, every site is different, every niche is different. You can have two sites in the same niche, they'll still be different. But it's a good business model. You just got to keep sticking at it, and kind of you'll get there in the end. And that's not a very good answer for a lot of people, but like it's kind of a real kind of answer in that trying to put a number on it, it's really difficult. So what we did was we actually we did some analysis of 5,000 niche sites, and we took a look at on average how many posts do I need to get to X number of dollars a month, and what's the average authority of those domains. So we took these 5,000 sites, looked how many posts they had, looked at what their domain authority was, and then essentially we worked out what their income could be with just ad revenue alone. So if it was ad revenue alone based on a $25 EPMV, then what could they be earning? So for example, if you wanted to get to $3,000 a month based on the data that we have, and we do have it broken down by niche, but we also have like the overall number here. So if you want to get to say $300 a month on average through this study, you need 289 posts and a DR of 29, and that will get you around $300 a month. When we're working with them with an H domain, we'll say, okay, is our H domain already at DR 29, or do we need to do some work on some link building or find additional H domains that we can 301 redirect to boost that domain up? So it kind of gives the customer a roadmap. Then it's like, well, do I already have 289 posts, but I'm not at that $300 a month? But is my DR low, or is my DR acceptable, but I don't have enough posts yet to get to that number? So kind of it helps you decide where you want to direct your money. Do you want to direct it toward link building, or do you want to direct it toward building content? There's that, and then it kind of scales up from there. So we have like $1,000 a month, and then the next level up is $2,700 a month, right up to $20,000 a month. This is like a target kind of goal, and we've kind of got data across all of those spaces.
Okay, so bandings, 280 posts and DR of 29, is that right, to get to $300 per month? But yeah, I would imagine it's quite niche dependent. Is that just average across all niches, or like things that
you think
more...
so? Yeah. So it is the average across all niches, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 12 niches, and then we've got other. So we've got like food and pets and fashion and lifestyle, gardening, sports, that kind of thing. So we've broken it down, and it does vary a little bit depending on the niche you're in. Some of the niches, like I just clicked on sports. We only have 87 sites with sports, so the data set's a bit smaller, so it's kind of going to be kind of less accurate. But what we found is those ones that we do have a lot of sites on, like food. What else do we have here? Travel. It's quite similar. So if I look at the travel one, we've got 344 sites in the database. Well, to get to $500 a month, we need 301 posts and a DR of 25. So it does vary, but the way that it scales up in terms of number of posts and the DR that you need, it kind of is quite similar, approximately, I guess.
Okay, and so a website that earns $300 a month, let's say it's worth about $10,000, right? So does it, based on your study, would you spend less? Would you have to spend less than that to get to 280 posts and 29 DR and expert domain?
To get to 200.
To get to the $300 per month.
Yeah, I mean, in that travel niche, on our, that's what our data is telling us. On average, we would need, you'd need to create less than that to be able to kind of get there.
So it's profitable. So, it's quite profitable.
Oh, yeah, hugely. So we have.
Okay. I mean, that's good to know.
So of course. I mean, so obviously, the more that you put into it, that's the thing with kind of niche sites. Like when you're first starting out, obviously you're putting a lot of money in at the start with kind of not much return, and eventually the site starts making money, and you can kind of reinvest that money that you have back into the site and to growing it further. But we've seen it's not uncommon to get multiple 100% kind of return on investments for sites that we work on for customers. Adam and I when we first started the business, we had our own portfolios. We've sold sites for ourselves for 6 figures, and we've got some really good case studies. Our best case study is one customer that within 13 months we started on an age domain. We redirected 5 other age domains, and we got that site to $40,000 a month in 13 months, which means his site was worth $1.6 million at that point out of 40 multiplier. So obviously they don't all work out like that, massively, but he and actually it was his first site. He came and he said, I want to get a portfolio. So we started. We normally recommend starting one site and just going with it, but he was really keen to get his portfolio running. He had some money to invest. So he started about 4 sites with him, but this one was clearly showing way more traction than the other ones. And we'll say you should really start backing that winning horse rather than trying to make. And that's the advantage of having multiple sites. As you can see, they're not all going to be runaway winners, but some are going to be better than others. You can decide where to redirect it. Of course, once you start earning $10,000, $20,000 a month, it was just putting that money back in and kind of growing it more. So he did invest quite a lot of money in that, but nowhere near of what it was worth kind of at the end of the day. So we're doing a similar case study for ourselves at the moment, based on our data project. So our data project says that across all of our niches, you can get to a DR58 with 1,700 posts. You can expect to be earning $20,000 a month. Or say on average, they're earning $20,000 a month. And again, don't forget, this is just ad revenue. As soon as we add in other streams like affiliate or courses or whatever, then that kind of goes up again. But just talking about ad revenue here. So we're 8 months into our own project. We just over the weekend we got to 50,000 sessions in the last 30 days. So we're going to put that into Mediavine now and start tracking that. But that's again one age domain, and we've redirected in. Let me just check. I think it's 4 or 5 other age domains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other age domains. So we're at DR43 at the moment. So we've still got some work to get it up to that 58 kind of level. But we're about 1,200, 1,400 posts alive. But a lot of them, I mean, you can see the graphs going up, bottom left, top right. It's a lot of those posts are still aging because we've published so many so quickly. It's just kind of it's a straight line up at the moment. So at the moment we're just at 50,000, but even with the posts we've published, we're expecting that to continue for like some time to come.
Right, very cool. So you've been quite successful with many of these new sites, and well, what I've seen from my experience is that a lot of websites on H domains, you tend to get quick growth, but then they tend to get affected by Google updates more often, and so they tend to drop quickly. Do you notice a lot of that?
Not particularly. I would say I haven't really noticed that H domains are more affected than any other site or domain. I can't say that I particularly noticed that. I mean, we do work with both. I think in general we've seen affiliate sites and content sites in general getting more impacted across the board than maybe other types of sites. So blogs in general have been more impacted than other sites for these Google updates. And I think that more comes down to the quality and the EAT kind of metrics that the site's displaying, because quite often a niche site owner or a content site owner, they want to be anonymous. They don't really want to be. They want to sell their site one day. They don't want to be the face of their site, and they forget about putting all of those EAT things in. So things like what's the terms and conditions on the site? What's the email address for support? What's does this person really exist that's behind this site? Is there any links to social media? Is there any links to like their LinkedIn profile to show that they're like a real person that really exists? So there's loads and loads of kind of EAT stuff that kind of people kind of forget and miss out because they're just creating posts and that's all they're doing. So I think across the board, generally, like bloggers in the content publishing kind of space have seen more impact, I would suggest, than other types of businesses. But that's because they're not really treating their site as a business. They're treating it more as a side hustle. And really, if you want to be successful with content sites now, you've got to really start thinking of it as a business and thinking like a business and what's all the things that a business does and has on their site that's going to give those authority kind of signals to Google to help convince Google that this is a site worth ranking.
Right. So that's interesting. You mentioned the EAT. What are some other things that maybe like really important, but people often miss or don't pay attention to, don't do, that could make a big difference in content sites? Do you have like a list of those?
Yeah, we do. We have like a whole bunch of stuff that we work through and we work for our customers now and include. But off the top of my head, I mentioned a few of the things there. We try and make sure we have a real address and a real phone number on the site now. So it costs a little bit more. Like we always talk about the low cost to entry for this industry being all you need is hosting. Well, now we talk about really all you need is hosting plus a real address plus a real phone number. And there are services that allow you to kind of pay for that kind of stuff. If you're not maybe based in the US, then you can get virtual phone numbers, virtual addresses. We have things like meet the team page where there's a team that really kind of with bios and those kind of things. And where you kind of want those people to kind of be real people as well. And we're looking to try avoid using things like this person does not exist kind of profile images, which is definitely something a lot of people have been doing in the past and we've been doing in the past. But with detection of AI profile pictures becoming so much better now in recent months, there are tools out there you can quickly run an image through and it'll work it out. If they can work it out, then Google can probably work it out as well. And that's a great signal for Google to say this isn't a real person if they can work that out. So we're trying to try and use it, real imagery, real profile pictures where we can.
Where do you get them?
What else?
Do you get real people who are the authors, or who are the freelance writers or employees?
Yeah, you try. Yeah, so I mean, we're putting that onto our customers at the moment to say, like, you need to put a real picture on there, whether that's you, whether that's a family member, whether that's some way that you can pay for somebody to be like the face of the site. It's kind of yeah, it's not an easy thing, right? Because that's why people just do it. What I would say is though, it's better to have no picture at all and have a name and a bio than to have an AI generated photo, because at least if there's no photo, you're not going to get detected for
Yeah.
like a fake photo, basically. So if you can, all the better to get a real image. But if you can't, I'll just avoid having an obviously AI generated kind of photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have 5,000 websites. Like what we've been often doing is getting some of the editors to put their names, especially if they have already some established editor profile on other websites, then that works well. But when you have 5,000 websites, I imagine that's a challenge. You don't want to put the same person on different websites.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that's like I say, we generally put that onto the customer to figure out how they're going to get a new photo on it. So those 5,000 sites, by the way, aren't our sites.
Okay.
So those 5,000 sites from the study are all Ahrefs data. So we've scraped Ahrefs and dug out a loads of websites. So we're using the traffic data from Ahrefs, which is generally estimates on the low side anyway. So we're hoping that there's some built-in optimism there, I guess, in the fact that actually you don't need as much as traffic as is suggested. But yeah, so those 5,000 sites aren't our sites; they're kind of just out from a
So
study.
they're just random sites that you had the data for and you analyzed. Okay, so they're not the ones that you built for clients.
No, so no,
okay.
we do. Yeah, we just didn't include those. We tried to keep those separate.
That's good to know.
Well, I can tell you what. Something that's interesting about this data is that the more pages you have and the authority you have, the higher we go up these bandings, the more traffic on average you get per post. And I think that's just through the authority. So you can see that if you keep sticking at a site and keep adding more and more content and improving that domain authority, you're just going to get more credibility overall. So, for example, if I look at the banding for the $300 a month, the average traffic per post is 43. This is according to Ahrefs, right? If I go up to our top banding, we're kind of trying to get to say $20,000 a month. On average, each post has 400 traffic a month, and that just goes up all the way. So 43, 86, 152, 239, 293, and then 398. So just because as you go up that kind of scale, which is kind of really interesting, you're just getting more credibility overall for all of your posts, and you're getting more traffic to all of your posts on average. Which is there's a few little interesting kind of things that came out of that kind of study like that.
So would you say that the domain authority, the Ahrefs domain authority, is probably the most important factor in really like overall long-term growth of the project?
I think, yeah, just overall size of the site. So the size of the site, there's a lot of posts. So I guess you're going to get more topical coverage, more topical authority there. But also the DR, obviously not DR specifically, that's a third-party metric, but it tries to estimate the the quality of the backlinks of your site. So we still know that Google sees backlinks as a ranking factor. Still a strong ranking factor. So yeah, of course, if you've got some good backlinks over there, then that's also going to help with your site.
So that's probably important than buying websites as well. Would you say so? If you are looking to buy content website, that should you really look for ones that has much higher domain authority, potentially higher than the revenue that it's making potentially in terms of that relationship that you've seen in the data?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find it that way around, to be honest. Like normally you'll find a site that's got a lot of posts with a lower authority. Try to find a site that's got a higher authority with a few posts. There's generally a reason for that if that's the case, because they've been picked up for something they've done in the past, some piece of content that's done well or something like that. But yeah, it's not something to ignore. I guess was what I would say is that you've you've got, there's something that you shouldn't just. There's definitely been I can't think of like the right word, but I've definitely been people talking about that you don't need to build links to rank, and that's true, you don't, but you're leaving money on the table if you're kind of not doing that as well. And I think what you do see as well over time that we have seen, talking about how affected by Google updates, is that sometimes a site might be overachieving especially when you first start the site. If you're quite aggressive with your how much content you publish, you can be really aggressive on a low authority domain, see some good initial traction, and then over time, it kind of it does get hit by an update, but I see it more as a correction, in that you've done really well initially, then Google's gone, actually, you haven't really got much of a backlink profile, you haven't got much authority, and I've definitely seen that on a number of occasions where you kind of have this correction where you kind of you're put back down where you should have been in the first place.
I also see that the topical relevance is really important. So I remember one time we were looking at this website, was selling guns, selling ammunition, and it's kind of weird, but it's legal in US, so who knows.
Yeah.
And it was doing quite well, like $20,000 US per month or so, and it was built on an expired domain that was kind of some sort of social campaign about the police, and so the domain name was kind of police related, but they changed it to be an affiliate website about guns, which is not completely irrelevant, but it's not like directly relevant. So it also decided really well, and then probably like half a year later, it was just completely annihilated by Google. Was like maybe like less than 5% of the traffic that it used to have, and that's what I see often as well, because it went up very quickly and then it just dropped down very quickly.
It's like all of the AI content, the similar, like you'll get initial traction, and then Google catches up. But no, exactly the same. Yeah, I mean, I think most people know that these days. You shouldn't really start a pet site that used to be on a golf site, because you're not going to get credibility. You're not going to get, the way that I see it is that you're not going to get any benefit of those backlinks that were all golf related backlinks to a pet site. It's not going to help your authority whatsoever in the pet space, because there was no relevance there in the backlinks. I don't know if it's the site that you're talking about, but I saw it. There was a site a year or two ago, and I can't remember what it was, that was to do with guns and ammo. And the site they built on it was, I think it was, might have been called something like "Killed by Cops" or something like that. And it was
exactly, something like that, yeah.
And then by state it'll tell you how many.
It was kind of like some sort of a social campaign before, with some sort of numbers and data about people who were killed by police for police shootings and so on. And then, as I remember, I think they used the front page from the old website, but the rest of the pages were used for the affiliate listings. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was going to say the same. Yeah, if you go to the homepage, you would never see any affiliate content, but in the background, stuff was getting indexed. That if you looked in Ahrefs, you'd see a whole load of gun and ammo content, but actually
it's kind of shady. Shady, but at the same time, it's like, you want to protect yourself from the police, go buy a gun. So it's not completely ridiculous. It's not like you have a pets website and you're selling I don't know, swimming pools or something like that. So it's
no, definitely you want to be as close to the original niche as possible, and that's why we're quite careful when we pick up domains from auction that you can build a content site on them. There's just some domains, just because it was a high authority domain doesn't mean that it's going to fit a content site, or even any kind of site. So
So do you go for domains, like more expensive domains with high authority, lots of backlinks, or just one that has some decent history and a few links is okay? But like there are domains you can buy for thousands of dollars that might have a really high DR. Is it worth spending that much? Yeah.
Yeah, mixed. So we will pick up a clean, what we consider a clean domain that we can build a content site on, whether it's only got a few links. So generally, I mean, the lowest ones we pick up are probably 7, 8, or 9 DR, but they're a good basis. That site still has aged. That's still a way that you can kind of skip that kind of sandbox period, those first initial 12 months. So the fact that it's only got a few backlinks, a handful, that's fine. It's been indexed. If it's been indexed for a couple of years, then it's still going to give you a head start, and then you can kind of build on it from there. So you can generally pick up those domains for a lot less, and then you can start building your own links. What we always say though is that it's a really cheap way of buying links. Like to buy an H domain that's high authority, you might pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for an H domain, but then if you're getting a DR 40, 45, how much would that really cost you in buying links? If you were to pay a service like our service, which we offer digital PR, it'd be expensive to get a similar number of links for that price. Like some links are just almost impossible to get. Like you can't pay for them, you can't get them, they're just there. So you get some links maybe that your competitors will just never be able to get. So when you kind of work it out, actually, I've spent this much thousands of dollars, but look at the head start it's giving you. It's giving you how much quicker to revenue you're going to get. Like what we see, like with H domains, you're going to get there a lot quicker, especially if you've got a very credible H domain, some really high quality backlinks. You're going to get to money quicker. So you're going to get your money back fast anyway, because you're going to get to revenue quicker. But also, you're saving years of time or money or both trying to get to that level. So we always see H domains as a great way of buying or getting authority kind of cheaply. And that's why we also acquire H domains to build the authority of other H domains with 301 redirects as well, because it's a really cost-effective way of doing it.
And with the 301 redirects, do you also make sure to stay within the topical relevance, like very narrow niche relevance? Like if it's a docs site, you only redirect other links from other docs sites?
Yeah, our quality bar does not go down if it's going to be a 301 direct. We treat it the same. So we only acquire domains that we feel that we could build a site on. The quality of the domain is the same whether it's a 301 or whether we're going to build a site on that specific domain. Okay,
and what's the process like? So you go and buy a domain name at an auction. Do you first maybe set up the old website and wait a few months for it to get indexed or something like that, or do you just right away go and build a new website? And how many articles would you add? Would you wait a little bit to see if it works?
So what we do is we will get the site up as soon as we can. What we'll do is we'll check out through Wayback Machine some of the old content, and if there's some other, and generally we look at how many backlinks certain pages have. So if a page has 10 backlinks to it, then we'll kind of recreate that content. So we don't copy the content from Wayback Machine, we rewrite it but on the same topic, and then we'll recreate that page, and then we'll 301 that as a one-to-one mapping from the old content URL to the new one. If the URL structure was good in the first place, then we'll just keep the URL the same as well. So there's generally a handful of posts that have got some decent backlinks to them that we'll recreate. Other than that, then we just go ahead and start creating our own content. We don't hold off too often because some sites take longer. Some sites take longer to take off than others, even if they are H domains that have just been dropped. Yeah, we just crack on and expect them to take off. Occasionally, we've seen a couple of like H domains where you just can't get any traction at all. Like you just see nothing; it just stays flat, like dead, no matter how much content you add to it. And when we do that, I mean, specifically for our customers, we'll generally just swap that out for another H domain, or we'll find a solution for them. But occasionally, you see that. But for the vast majority of cases, you'll see some level of traction, which is going to be fine. So we don't really put on 50 and just wait. We just get on with it generally.
So how much content do you put let's say in the first like 3 months of setting up a new website? Is it
Ours,
just like
we have
as
a
much
smallest,
as the customer orders and pays for? Or
yeah,
do you have some sort of guidelines? So you can put 1,000 articles, that's fine.
yep, we could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, but we generally have our smallest package on the age domains is 50,000 words. So yeah, so if that's 2,000 words an article, that's like 25 articles basically. So we generally recommend more than that, but because you're not going to get too far with 25 articles. But yeah.
Right. So what would you say to someone who's looking to invest in content website and considering something like your service versus just buying a website that's already profitable and growing it? What would be what are like some of the pros and cons?
Yeah, definitely. So there's definitely different pros and cons for one or the other. So the first one, obviously, you're gonna get immediate revenue. You can see the track history of that site. So buying a site as it is, that's the advantage that you get. Your revenue on day one. The flip side of that is that with a age domain or with an age domain investment, it's generally going to cost you less because that site is proven. You're going to be paying, maybe 35, maybe 40, maybe 45x, like what it's making monthly. There's a cost that comes with that, and maybe you don't have that money to invest kind of all at once up front, but you are paying a premium because that site is proven. Now, generally, the return on investment is better when you're starting a site from scratch because you're paying for the content and paying kind of to get it there. So actually, generally, those costs kind of over time are less than what you would pay. That's what makes it a profitable business, right? You can grow a site from scratch with the content, even just using our service, and get a return on investment by selling it down the road at 35, 40x.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I guess
so you mentioned you had a few case studies that did really well. How long did it take to really get to some good revenue? How long does it usually take for a new website to start making some decent revenue, like in the hundreds of dollars per month? Would it be a few months or a year?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it's different, and depending on how quickly the domain takes off, how much content you put on the site straight away. Like I mentioned, we have our own case study where we've put 1,400 posts live in 8 months, and we're going to get into Mediavine. We've been on Ezoic for like a month or two, and I think doing $400 or $500 a month on that. But we expect to do a little bit more with kind of Mediavine. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. Obviously, we had that other case study where we got to $40,000 after 13 months. That's not typical, but what we say is like, you should be really looking for 12 months before you just set a realistic expectation. 12 months before you can actually start to see some real traction, and that is slightly pessimistic, especially if you're going aggressive. When we have our growth packages, we kind of estimate kind of a return investment over time, and our year one return, we always say 0. Now that's very, very pessimistic because we'd always expect to have some revenue in that first year, but we're trying to be pessimistic and being realistic. So setting the right expectations for our customers that this is a process, this takes time, it's not going to be an overnight success. So we generally suggest 12 months. Don't expect anything necessarily in that first year, or if you do get something, it's probably not going to be fantastic. And then it's years 2, 3 that you're really going to start then seeing the growth.
And so, do you think it's better to focus on building a bunch of smaller websites, smaller niche websites, or just maybe like 1 or 2 websites that you can really invest more in and grow them and redirect a lot of domains to them?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to answer, and again, it probably comes down to an individual's appetite for risk and also appetite for how much they have to invest. If you only have a certain budget to invest in, or a small-ish budget to invest in, you're much better just spending that money on one site, because otherwise you're just going to spread all of that budget that you have, having sites that are only a very kind of low level. As I've shown with our data project, the bigger the site gets, the more articles you have, the better authority you have. You're going to get more traffic on average per post kind of over time. So actually, you're better off spending it all on kind of one site. The problem is you don't know if that's going to be like a standout winner or not on that site. The advantage of, if you do have the budget of starting on multiple sites, is that you have many horses in the race. And once you have many horses in the race, then you will start to see some that will outperform the other ones. And that's then when you can go, okay, now I can see that which horses are winning. I'm going to reinvest any other additional income or income from these sites into those winning horses. And that's generally where you'll see kind of more success. Of course, if you're having one site, you don't know how well that's going to do in the race. But ultimately, over time, as you do start earning income from these sites and making money, yeah, definitely you kind of want to roll that out into portfolio, because that lowers the risk in terms of Google updates and any other kind of issues that you have right down the road. So yeah, a portfolio is better long term. If you've only got a small budget, then you've got to focus. You have to focus on one and really drive that forward, and don't get distracted. You can easily get distracted by having multiple sites and continually starting new ones and having that kind of shiny object syndrome. So
okay, and what do you do once you've basically covered the niche? Because you would only have so many topics you can write about before you start writing about, before you start creating some very similar articles. Is that basically done? You can't really expand the website anymore, or do you have some ways to grow further?
Yeah, so it depends how micro you go on the niche. So we try to have something that's always kind of expandable. So you might cover a single topic in its entirety, but then you can probably start shoulder niches as well. So we kind of look at those niches that are very much aligned to the first niche, the primary niche, and look to then create new topical silos around similar topics for that site. So yeah, generally we're looking for sites that you can expand to. And if you're covering a topic entirely, unless you're really, really narrowing down on a very, very specific micro niche, generally you can expand sites. It takes often it's quite a lot of articles to actually cover a niche completely in entirety, and then once you factor in shoulder niches, you're going to have a decent sized site generally, unless you've gone like way too narrow. And there's no harm in going really narrow. That can be quite successful, but just know that you might be limited then from where you can go.
And what about backlinks? Do you focus a lot on backlinks, or do you just put most of your attention on content and getting a good domain name initially?
Yeah. So because most of our projects we start on age domains, we generally focus on content initially, and just because if we've already got some authority, then there's definitely topics that we can go after. We have a keyword research method, which we call the tomb raiding keyword research method, which is basically some competitor analysis, and we use industry metrics like DR, DA, trust flow, citation flow. We take all of those numbers, we add them up, and then we can see, and we take a load of competitors, as many competitors as we can find, and we kind of work out, okay, which sites are lower authority than us and which sites are higher authority than us. Those ones that are lower authority than us, we then go and look at what they're ranking for, and then we raid their articles or their sites, their articles and keywords that they are ranking for, because on the thought that, well, if they're a lower authority site than us, then and they're ranking, then we probably can too. So we'll go after all of those articles initially, but as I mentioned, if we've got these growth plans and we know that if we want to get to X $1,000 a month, then there's going to be a certain point where we need to focus on the backlinks as well. But initially, because we're starting on age domains, generally we focus purely on content in the first instance, and then look to grow the DR as the site grows.
And so, what about the Google algorithm updates? How do you mitigate the risk of losing your traffic to one of those? And like, what do you think they target mostly? Is it due to like being too aggressive with backlinks, or is it like about topical relevancy, or if you go outside your topic, things like that? What is more dangerous?
Yeah. So in terms of the Google updates, I think the most important thing to focus on is the EAT stuff at the moment. That's a real focus.
Okay.
Like quality. If you're writing reviews, there's guidance around how you should be conducting your reviews. You want to use things. You want to use terminology because Google's it's not human at the end of the day. So you can do very simple things in reviews where if you don't have the product to hand because you can't afford to buy all of the products and then review them with real photography and all of those kind of things, then you can still use terminology which suggests that you do have that to hand. So you could say when I tested out this function on the product. I'm trying to think of some like good examples here, but you essentially you can write it in language like you do have the product physically in your hand. Rather than talking about it from a product features kind of perspective. And I wouldn't worry about, I think you can grow links too quickly where it kind of stands outside. But I think a lot of people think that it's a lot faster than you think it could be. So if you're creating 30 links a month, don't worry about it. That's fine. Like if you're creating 1,000 links a month, then start to worry about it. But if you're creating 30 links a month, 40 links a month, then that's not something to be concerned about. You can actually be reasonably aggressive with your link building and still be okay. I mean, the risk of going outside of your topical relevance I don't think it's going to hit you hit by a Google update. That's just going to mean you're not going to rank for those articles because those other articles that you've written, you've got no topical authority for. So I don't think you're risking hit by a Google update. I think it's more the EAT stuff you've got to think about, and like I mentioned, you've got to be careful with product reviews and things these days as well.
So the EAT is the biggest thing to really focus on these days.
Yeah, we've just have we done it? Did we do it? I think we did. Yeah, we did a on our own YouTube channel, Niche Website Builders YouTube channel. We did a video a week or two back on EAT factors and the things that we focus on. So yeah, maybe you can put that in the show notes, Michael. But there's quite a lot of things there that we kind of talk about that you should be focusing on. It's one of those things as well where a lot of it is you set it up once, so it is time consuming, it is boring to do, but you do it once once you first create the site, and then you don't have to worry about it like again. Yeah, we try to be like very specific about things that you can focus on to really get EEAT built into your site.
What about keyword cannibalism? Is that a common problem? Should you be concerned about that, or is it not really something to worry about?
I think so. You need to be careful with that. I don't think it's I think people often over dramatize like how bad, like that, how much of an issue that is. It just means that Google's gonna struggle to work out which article like should be ranking, and sometimes both articles don't therefore kind of rank as well as they could because they're competing. But in terms of that, yeah, I think you just got to be really careful when you're doing your keyword research that you kind of deduplicate any stuff that looks like it's similar. One way that you can kind of really test, if you're not sure if one article or another article is covering the same topic or is too close to each other, is Google like the primary keyword for like both of those articles that you're planning on writing. And if you're seeing basically similar results coming up in the SERPs for both terms, then it's probably Google seeing that as kind of one term, and you don't want to do that. That's cannibalization. One of the examples we always give is like think about golf. So if you have like best golf ball for adults or best golf club for adults, and then you have for seniors as a different keyword, like seniors and adults and stuff is the same. So when you Google that, you'll find that I think it's all the senior ones that came up, even if you say for adults. So again, you'll if you're not sure, you can Google it generally and work it out.
And what are your thoughts on the AI content, ChatGPT? Do you think that maybe in the near future, all this stuff will become relevant and people won't be writing articles anymore?
Well, yeah. So I mean, obviously, it's coming a long way. ChatGPT. I mean, we don't use it yet to like write our articles. We don't have like human edited ChatGPT articles or anything like that, because we still see it as like too high risk, that it can be picked up by Google. And if not now, like, why couldn't they pick it up like a year down the road? Like, you're still putting yourself at risk. So and also we have done some testing with this, and actually by the time we fact checked and human edited a lot of stuff, it doesn't really take a lot longer than when we were first writing it in the first place. What it is really good for is coming up with ideas and structures for articles. Now, we don't use that particularly in our content writing service, but we do use it to come up with ideas in our digital PR service. So when we're trying to come up with stories for journalists, we do use ChatGPT to kind of come up with some basic structures around maybe the pitch that we're going to write to the journalist, some topics maybe that we should include within that. And then once we've kind of got those, we then kind of we can then go and write the pitch to the journalist. So none of the actual ChatGPT output kind of makes it into there, but so at the moment I think it's good for ideation, coming up with ideas and planning. For writing, we remain on the cautious side of using it at this time.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. I know of many people in the content space who have been playing with it, and if you just use it to build, like to write a bunch of articles and upload them and maybe with some minor edits, that doesn't usually work. Like, you might get some traffic initially and then it all gets banned. But what people have been successful with is just combining a number of different resources, building out some templates, and then filling some of those some like things in those templates with ChatGPT content, but also having it arranged so that there is a lot of other different content. So this works well with sites that are like on different databases on like different cities or things like that. But it really works. It really requires quite a bit of effort to kind of build it all out. So it's a project in itself.
Yeah,
you have to really,
it really is
focus on that to be successful.
Sure.
But it's interesting to see where it goes, what happens in the next 2 years, how it changes SEO for everyone.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, with any new technology, there's opportunities. There's opportunities that are going to arise, not through just ChatGPT, but through AI in general. There's going to be business, any kind of business is just going to move faster now. And with that, I don't think there's a reason to be scared. There's opportunity that comes with any kind of new revolution in terms of technology and things. So I think we're definitely keeping an eye on it. We're definitely looking at not just ChatGPT, but like how we can use AI to get better results for our customers, get better results for our own portfolios. And that's something that we'll adopt at the right time. But at the moment, we're not willing to put our sites or our customer sites at risk. We're not going to take punts on stuff until we kind of know that that this is credible and sustainable and something that we can kind of do kind of long term. So we'll use it and adopt it at the right time when we can, but we just want to be super cautious right now, because people are investing money into sites. We don't want to be taking risks on their behalf.
And what's in the future for you? What's your current plan? Are you focusing on more on customers, more on your own websites, more on bigger sites, smaller sites?
Yeah, so we want to continue to be like, our goal is always to be like the best agency around that helps people grow content sites. One of the advantages of us is that we have our own sites ourselves. We test stuff out on our own stuff. We've actually got a team we're putting together inside the agency, which is just purely focused on experimentation and SEO experiments. So they'll be going out and testing different things to see what works, what doesn't work. You know, even stuff that SEOs might say is, yeah, like this. You know, this is how you should do something. Or we're going to go ahead and test it because, you know, one person says something and then the rest of the SEO industry will pick it up and treat it like gospel, like it's the thing. So we've got a whole department now just dedicated to trying out new things, and then that stuff we can then pass on to our customers. We share everything that we do on our YouTube channel and on our podcast. So we're going to share that, but also use it to roll it into our services. So we want to continue to grow the agency, be recognized as the kind of the best agency there is to help people grow sites, and we'll adapt and change as we need to. We're already looking at other stuff that we can do to make to treat our customers and our own sites as more like real businesses. So does that mean we now need to start thinking about social profiles and creating social content, especially in terms of our digital PR service? You know, we're pitching to journalists, and they're picking up our stories and writing about our stories on high quality news publications, you know, like Forbes and MSN and things like that. But, you know, do we also want to do some other PR around some of the articles or some of the stories that we come up with in terms of video, in terms of social media? So we're looking to provide like more of a fully rounded service, which isn't just here's a content site, here's a blog, that's it. It's like, no, it's a full business. Like, how do we make this a business? And that's where we see like the longevity in these things. And sure, it becomes more work and more cost probably to have a successful content site. But at the same time, again, it's an opportunity. There's going to be people that will drop off and will not be interested in doing all that additional work. And that's where you win. If lots of people are giving up and you continue to evolve and improve what you do, you're going to find less competition the harder it gets. So yeah,
I like
that's what we're planning on.
Yeah, that's perfect to wrap it up. So is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about, and how can people find out more about you?
No, yeah, sure. No, I think we covered a lot there. I think I just threw lots of stuff out. But if anybody's interested in learning more about, you know, our data project and our, you know, some of the stuff that we're doing, you can check us out on our YouTube channel. You just search for Niche Website Builders. You can check us out on our website, which is nichewebsite.builders. And you'll find us we have a few Facebook groups as well. One's called Niche Website Builders. One's called Niche Website Flippers, which is for buying and selling content sites. But yeah, that's kind of actually on any podcast platform as well. If you search for Niche Website Builders, that's our podcast. So that's just a once a week podcast, but on our YouTube channel, we also publish it there, but we also have live streams where we cover topics and do some age domain teardowns as well, Michael, on once a week as well, on our live streams. So that's where you can find us.
Well, thanks, Mark. That's great to catch up. Until next time.
Thank you, Michael. Nice chatting.
Domain Magnet is a leader in buying and selling online businesses with a proven track record of expertise gained from over 300 deals since 2004. To learn more about how we can help you acquire or exit a profitable online business today, head over to domainmagnet.com for more details.